Hey, welcome again to my video. Last video I spoke about a lot of things, how we can learn, and I appreciated about working in a corporate environment where I learned a lot of things. But I also spoke about some etiquettes, and I said I'd speak about it in my subsequent videos. So today I'd like to speak about a few things that I learned while working in a corporate industry, and I'm glad it was a hotel. So though it was a hotel, some of these standards apply overall. And today I'd like to speak about a few things that I learned, and some of these things I didn't just learn like that. I learned through observation. Some of them I learned because I had very good leaders, and leaders who were, when it came to etiquette, they were so good at it. So one of the people who first trained me when I entered the hotel industry, I entered through the food and beverage. I first started in attachments, then I later was employed in food and beverage. And we had this leader who was called Mr. Ogutu. And trust me, he was those people who behaved the way they look. They had class. He had class. He trained us. Some of the things he trained us during our induction have stuck with me up to date. Number one, he was so good when he was talking in terms of he would capture your attention. He really was confident, and he said exactly what he expected of us. So most of us, I think from experience, he knew these are young people. Some of them have come from college. Some of them are coming to train here for the first time. So there are some standards or some etiquette I need to inculcate in them. And he taught us some things. And some of the things he taught us were like, because you are going to be in front of clients, and we were dealing with different clients, people of different levels. You know, when you work for a 5-star hotel, specifically Intercontinental, the time I was employed during those years, we had very few competitors. So we were the like cream of cream. So you can imagine the kind of clients we had, from high-profile people to all kinds of people. Majority definitely were people who are learned, because the prices there, again, the local person could not afford. It wasn't so common unless they were brought in by a company for a function. It was a place where you find the high-class people, high-ended people in society, from politicians to just business people to rich people to people who can afford it. So some of the standards he taught us were how to behave. And one of the things he taught us was the way you should stand in front of clients. Whether they're looking at you, whether they're concentrating with you or not, when you're standing there and waiting on clients, the way you stand, your body language matters. You cannot fold your hands in front of clients. You cannot lean in front of clients just because maybe you've served them and you're waiting on them. You do not lean in front of clients. So there are things we could do, but you would not do in front of a client. Another thing that we were taught, I used to work in the ballroom when I first started. So in the ballroom, we used to have a lot of physical work. You would carry chairs, you'd carry tables during functions. And a thing that I remember he taught us, you excuse if you're maybe entering a lift, you guys were moving in stuff, you should excuse the person who is carrying the heavy stuff to pass. Assuming you guys were met in a corridor somewhere. You don't insist on passing, and this other person is carrying maybe a tray with something. You know, be courteous, let this person pass first. And these were things that I was taught, and I appreciate God up to today. There are things that we were taught, like, for example, when you came in front of a client, the way you looked, it said a lot about the hotel. It said a lot about you, your presentation, yourself, the way you talk. Are you confident? Are you looking at the person in the eye? Yes, you can look the person in the eye, but you can look at the person in the eye in a rude manner and in a polite manner. You know, I can assure you, like I said in my previous video, you go for interviews, sometimes they don't look at what you've learned in school, because they know you've learned. And companies have different things. When you learn things in school, when you go to a company, there's a way a certain company does its things. And the world is changing. We keep getting trainings all the times, because maybe your company decides to change stuff the way the world is moving. So you cannot stick to exactly the things you learned in school forever. There are the basics that are so important that you don't change, but there are some things that will always change. So he would really teach us, including hygiene. Like, if you know you've worked and you came on shift in the afternoon, maybe you walked, it was sunny, you were sweating. We had bathrooms. You should know yourself. Go and shower and come in front of a guest smelling fresh. Because you can imagine someone who is eating, then you're serving them, and they can hear the sweat. It can even irritate them. Someone might feel like these things are irrelevant, but trust me, when you work in some areas, they are so relevant. Someone will just get pissed by just you smelling sweat. And people are different. There are people who sweat, they can feel themselves. You know yourself, I'm feeling I'm sweaty, and you can feel it. Freshen up. Come to work like 30 minutes early and freshen up. The water was free. We used to be provided with soap. Deodorant. I remember we used to be given deodorant, especially housekeeping. Make the effort. And trust me, such things also sell you. The other thing I'd say, I was lucky because my dad used to work also in a corporate industry. I'm so lucky because I learned a lot of things from him. One of the things I learned with my dad, he was very punctual. My dad was very punctual. My dad is when he speaks, his English is very eloquent. His accent is clear. So I'm glad I took that also. I learned from him. And even for me to enter into the hotel industry, initially my plan was, I really admired my dad's career. He used to work with the airlines, and he went for trainings a lot abroad, internally, externally, in the country, outside of the country. And he was one person who had a lot of standard. My father kept time. My father, the way he even up to today, when he eats, the way he leaves his plate, I think in our family, the way we've been taught, we rarely leave our plates dirty. We clean the plate, because my dad hated it. So these things, they were not written on books, but they're standards we learned. I think it's because of the way he was so much traveled. He knew this is the way to behave. So he brought that home to us also. You know? Maybe talking to people when you're eating and you're chewing, and sometimes you chew and food like spills out. It's really irritating. Those are things that we call etiquette, that can just irritate someone, and they say, I can't stand this person. I'm not either meeting them next time. I'm not going for I wouldn't want them in my company when I'm eating. You know, when you're using a toothpick, it's something I think I learned by observing guests, because I was lucky to deal with high-ended clients. While I was in the restaurant, I would observe the way a guest would eat, the way they would use the napkin. They would not just cough on the napkin, or some people even, you can see they wipe their nose with the napkin, and those napkins are recycled. It's so irritating, because someone else will use it. The way they would fold the napkin, use it. I would observe that while working. When using a toothpick, you just don't open your mouth and remove food. Yes, I understand. I also use toothpick a lot. But you use the toothpick with one hand while the other hand is covering your mouth, so that you don't show people what you're doing. You don't show people food on your mouth or whatever it is maybe that remained. When you speak to people on the table when you're eating, swallow your food or let someone else speak. Interruption is not really necessary. The way you carry out yourself can really tell your standards. And I can tell you, young people, or even someone who's watching me, some of these things you learn by listening. Sometimes someone comes and someone corrects you. Don't do this, do it this way. Yes, there are people who will correct you politely. There are people who will not correct you politely. But at the end of the day, it's you to decide how you're going to react. This person whatever they've told me, is it really for my good, or they're just telling me because they want to irritate me? And even if they want to irritate you, maybe whatever they've told you, they've really corrected you the right way. So it's important, like just small etiquette. You know, excuse yourself. Sometimes you need something on the table. Don't stretch your hand to pass people there. And like I said, maybe you have trekked. You didn't come with a car or a cab. You're smelling sweat, and now you're stretching your hand to pick salt. Excuse yourself and ask someone, could I please have this? So I'd say there are some etiquettes that I've learned. Excusing someone when they're passing. I see when you go to a restaurant, men excuse ladies to sit first before they sit, and you can really observe someone and say, wow, this is someone who is really informed. And like some of us, we just come in, they don't even care whether you're still coming behind them. They've already sat, they're shouting, hey waiter. You know, there are things that even that person, the way you treat the waiter or the waitress, will really tell a lot about you. Are you polite? Do you even greet them or ask them, how are you, how was your day? Or do you look at them like they are serving you, so they have no place? They are your servants. You're treating them like slaves. The way we behave and carry out ourselves tell a lot about us. It really does. And I've said previously also, kids also learn through observation from their parents. So sometimes you do not have to talk, but your actions speak louder than words. Some of our actions, they really speak louder than our words. So learn, observe. In fact, I think even in the Bible we are told, be slow to judge, be quick to hear, but slow to answer. Give someone an ear, listen, observe, and just learn. Tell yourself, this is what I've learned today. And after some time, these things will come naturally. Just practice them. You know, don't mind about other people are doing it the wrong way. You stand up on a seat in a restaurant, return the chair. It doesn't cost you much. It just shows how well trained you are. Thank you for watching. Kindly please subscribe to my channel. Like my videos, share them. And I'll see you in the next video. I think I'll also still speak about etiquette and some of the things I learned, because I believe when I share, the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Some of these things, if someone doesn't tell you, you might never know about them. So look forward to the next video. I'll be sharing more on etiquette. Thank you.